All right, today I'm going to be reviewing The Troop. I just finished it. Troop is a body horror, lone island survival book by the author Nick Cutter. You know, I'm not gay, but the way this book did for me, I would get with that man. Um, yeah, the premise of The Troop is basically a scoutmaster. He's got his little Cub Scouts. They're on the island for a yearly kind of getaway, just their excursion, you know, looking at the fauna. What a fucking Boy Scout group would do. Anyways, shit hits the fan when an infected fucking specimen, like, just fucking rotted, like, his fucking skin's dripping off, and he's hungry. He's hungry. You're gonna hear in this whole story the words hunger, because there's this infection that's the antagonist of the story, these hydatid worms. But basically, they're on the island. It's Tim the scout leader. You have Max, you have Kent, you have Shelly, you have Eve, and Newt. They all have their own personalities. One's the jock, one's the bully kid. Shelly's the fucking weirdo freak loner who likes to fucking drown kittens, because that was a hard scene to read. You get backstory of their, you know, where it comes from. But it gets rolling when they're on this island, they're doing the activities, they're just hanging out, and Tim's out there, and this infected fucking guy, he doesn't look good. Tim used to be a doctor. He, you know, brings him in as the infected guy. He's just hungry. So eventually he unfortunately spreads this to Tim, and then Tim brings one of the kids, Max, into one of the cabins and has this guy down on the operating room. He's subdued, like they fucking injected him, and they start cutting him open. They see the worms tangled like inside him, this infection. It's just, and the way in this book that is so beautifully amazing, this pure body horror, everything of disgust and rot and decay is anatomical. It is just like the skin dripping foldings and like the knotted fucking liver of like worms, and they like crush a couple and it's that juicy, pasty like runoff, and it's squirting, and it's just like the very descriptive detail of all the the rot like that and this infection. Obviously, they're kind of watching out, and there's reactions to the worms and shit. It's just one of the kids who sees it. The other kids are blocked off. Story gets going. Tim gets infected, and also within this story, it's beautifully paced, and it's amazingly interspliced with the backstory of this disease, this virus. It basically, researchers created the devourer and the consumer worms, and then it's interspliced with these backstories. They tried on a monkey. The monkey starts, it's just chilling in its enclosure, gets infected, then it starts like chipping at its own fingers, eating its skin and fur off. The worm is now harvesting, reproducing inside its stomach, as like the monkey wants to just eat like bark and random shit. He poops out the fucking 10-foot long worm that just keeps growing and growing and growing, and then he starts to eat it, and then he just like eventually the worm like kills him. The worm dies, and then in his corpse is like a million little fucking worm babies, like just fucked, like it's so body horror. It's awesome. So while you're learning about the kids and the adventure and stuff, you're seeing the infection too, but then it's interspliced with more court reportings of like these researchers, the admiral, they're, interviewing about the island, and I like that. You don't get too caught up on the kids for a while, because you'll have like a court scene or more about the research. These worms are very resistant. They just fucking eat, they reproduce, they consume. And then pretty soon, Tim, you can guess, they lock him away in the cabin. He fucking dies when the storm comes in. He's pleading, I need to eat. He's eating some of his flesh, but he needs to consume more. He's infected. And so one of the kids celebrates by drinking some of the whiskey that Tim drank after the operation, which was infected. He gets fucking infected. So then pretty soon you start to see the Lord of the Flies they all kind of turn on each other. One of them starts showing the signs of hunger. There's distance. So the morals in these kids, like it turns into this grand survivor case. And all from a government experiment. These worms and this island, these kids and the scoutmaster had no idea that there was this virus, and it was all for research. It's so fucked up. But anyways, obviously, Tim, the scoutmaster, is gone, so then it just leads into the kids. They start getting infected and turn on each other, and they have knives, and they fucking stab each other, at each other's necks. And then it ends. The ending is pretty... it's left up to interpretation, but I mean, it's a shocker. What an ending. So I really enjoyed that, as there's only one kid surviving. But anyways, this is one of my new favorite books. Just 5 out of 5, complete. Just decimation, really just the rot, like I said, the skin fucking dripping, and them eating themselves, and just the gory nature of how it's all described is just really awesome. You know, you don't see that very often. And every sentence, I mean, this is a perfect novel. I got no criticism. Every sentence, every paragraph is could be, you know, praised in its own honor. Especially, this is very based in nature, kind of like Blood Meridian. Blood Meridian, Cormac McCarthy can spend 5 paragraphs talking about the like beautiful water driplets off a like oak tree, and it's literally poetic. It's beautiful. So another book like The Troop, they're obviously on this island outside. The environment, the landscape, its descriptions of like the frigid water and just like the waves, and then like the sky beaming and illustriously describing everything. Nature can be described so beautifully, and it seemed that every single line was just perfect. 5 out of 5, you know, it's hard to say a book is your favorite, so it's in my favorites, but I found this book serendipitously, you know, came to me by chance, went to the library, and I Googled, oh, what's one I should look for? In The Troop, you think a fucking book like this is at a local library, but it is an extreme horror. It's not splatterpunk. It's a survival, just a gory book about, you know, it's the infection, really. I mean, it's descriptive, but it's not like it's horror, you know, whatever. Stephen King wrote a review of it on the front cover. I don't have it with me because I gave it back to the library, but yeah, I was excited to make this review. I think everybody should read The Troop. Tim and the kids and Max and Shelly, and it was just, I enjoyed it. You can see it, and Nick Cutter really blew it out of the park with his descriptions of just bodies breaking down, the worms fucking eating at the legs and then reproducing, and how it just makes all these people who get infected fucking bite their fingers off and stab themselves. One of the characters turns into like this mutant fucking monster with a bloated like hanging belly, as like his, you know, calf is dripping off the side of it, and like a blood pooling, like, oh, it's just reading this book, it described so beautifully, like as much as it can be with something so, you know, rotten. But that's The Troop. I enjoyed it, and yeah, pretty much it.